You want us to do what? Captain Zorn shrieked, his forearms flailing in different directions simultaneously. The ship rocked again as another blast from the Drakari warship struck their failing shields. Dr. Olivia Reed remained remarkably calm as she examined the engine room's main control panel. I want you to shut down your primary power core, vent your secondary systems, and make it look like we are dead in space. Chief Engineer Kraz, a stocky reptilian with scales that shifted between copper and bronze depending on the lighting, made a sound like a deflating balloon. That would leave us with only emergency power. Life support would be on minimal settings. The temperature would drop to near freezing within hours. Humans can survive in near freezing temperatures, Drawl pointed out helpfully, still taking notes even as the ship shuddered around them. Their bodies generate internal heat, and they have developed ingenious external insulation systems called clothing. Not helping, Drawl, Olivia muttered as she tapped at the engine diagnostics display. Look, the Drakari want me, right? And they are shooting at you because they think you won't hand me over. Lieutenant Plex narrowed her compound eyes. We won't hand you over. Even pirates deserve better than facing an angry human. I'm flattered by your concern for their welfare, Olivia replied dryly. But here's the plan. Make them think they have critically damaged your ship. Power down everything except minimal life support and emergency systems. When they board to look for survivors and grab me, we will be ready for them. We will be ready? With what? Captain Zorn demanded. Our security team consists of Plex and 2 research assistants who took a self-defense class 3 years ago. Olivia smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. With me. Yet, there was a moment of silence broken only by the alarm klaxons and the occasional impact against the shields. Let me get this straight, Plex said slowly. Your plan is to lure heavily armed space pirates onto our defenseless ship, and then what? Ask them nicely to leave? Not exactly, Olivia replied, pulling up a schematic of the ship on the nearest display. Show me where you keep your maintenance supplies, engineering tools, and any chemicals you might have on board. Chief Engineer Kraz blinked nervously. What are you planning to do with those? Improvise, Olivia said simply. It's what humans do best. Captain Zorn looked like he was about to have a 4-armed panic attack. This is insanity. We should surrender the ship and escape in the pods. The Drakari would catch the escape pods before they reached the nearest inhabited system, Plex pointed out. And then they'd have us and the human. Not to mention, Drawl added excitedly, this is an unprecedented opportunity to observe human tactical thinking under pressure. The Galactic Science Council would give their collective left appendages for this kind of data. Olivia clapped her hands sharply, drawing everyone's attention. We don't have time to debate. Your shields are at 23% and failing. Make a decision, Captain, my plan or the escape pods. Another blast rocked the ship, sending several crew members tumbling to the floor. The lights flickered ominously. Shields at 9%, the ship's AI announced with inappropriate cheerfulness. Catastrophic failure imminent. Captain Zorn stared at Olivia for one long moment, then slumped in defeat. Fine. We will try the human's plan. Engineer Kraz, begin power-down procedures. Lieutenant Plex, get the human whatever supplies she requests. And someone get me a headache remedy before my brain explodes. Olivia nodded briskly. Good. Kraz, I will need access to your internal communication systems before you power down. I want to broadcast a very specific distress call. What kind of distress call? The engineer asked suspiciously. The kind that says, help, we are all dying, but our valuable human specimen is safely contained in holding cell B7. What? Olivia explained with a grin that made everyone take an instinctive step back. Drakari Captain Vex surveyed the crippled research vessel through the viewscreen with satisfaction, his razor-sharp teeth gleaming in the dim light of the bridge. The sleek Predator's body was wrapped in a combat exosuit that enhanced his already formidable physical abilities. Status report, he growled to his first officer. The research vessel has gone dark, Captain, First Officer Cragg replied. his scaled fingers dancing over the tactical display. Only minimal energy signatures remain. Their final transmission indicated catastrophic system failure with significant casualties. And the human? Vex demanded. According to their distress call, safely secured in holding cell B7, unharmed and ready for retrieval. Cragg couldn't quite hide the excitement in his voice. The cell's containment systems are operating on emergency power. If we act quickly, we can extract the specimen before any recovery teams arrive. Vex's lips pulled back in what passed for a smile among his species. Perfect. Prepare the boarding party. I want that human secured and in our containment facilities within 20 minutes. Kill any survivors. Captain, the ship's security chief interjected cautiously. Perhaps we should exercise additional caution. The reports about humans are concerning. Vex turned his cold gaze toward the security chief. Are you suggesting that I, who has hunted arachnoid leviathans on Nexus Prime with nothing but a vibroblade, should be afraid of a single mammalian biped? Not afraid, Captain, the security chief clarified hurriedly, or merely appropriately prepared. The data suggests humans are unusually resourceful. The data also suggests that this particular human is contained in a locked cell, on a dead ship, with no weapons or allies. Vex countered dismissively. Prepare the boarding party. I will lead it myself. They are coming. Plex reported from her position near the powered-down sensor array. She'd rigged a small portable scanner to operate on its own power cell. Boarding shuttle approaching docking bay 3. Olivia nodded, making final adjustments to her makeshift contraption. The last hour had been a flurry of activity as she'd raided supply closets, chemical storage, and engineering tools to assemble what she called a proper welcome package. Everyone clear on the plan? She asked, looking around at the small group of aliens who were now shivering slightly as the temperature continued to drop. Captain Zorn wrapped his arms around himself, all 4 of them. I still think this is madness. Absolute madness. Olivia said cheerfully. But is everyone clear on what to do? Reluctant nods all around. Good. Now get to your positions and remember, no heroics. Just follow the plan exactly as we discussed. As the aliens dispersed to their assigned locations throughout the ship, Drawl lingered behind. Dr. Reed, I just wanted to say, regardless of the outcome, this has been the most scientifically valuable experience of my career. Thanks, I think, Olivia replied, strapping a makeshift tool belt around her waist. Now go hide before you get yourself killed in the name of science. Drawl's skin rippled with excitement. Even your concern for my safety is fascinating. Humans develop protective instincts for other species so quickly. Drawl, go, now. Going. Left alone in the dimly lit engine room, Olivia took a deep breath and checked her preparations one last time. The pirates would be expecting a helpless human in a holding cell. What they would get instead was, well, something very different. Okay, Reed, she muttered to herself. Time to show these aliens why humans have such a terrifying reputation. The Drakari boarding party moved through the darkened corridors of the research vessel with practiced efficiency. 6 elite hunters, each armed with energy weapons and capture devices, led by Captain Vex himself. Life signs? Vex whispered to the scanner operator. Faint readings scattered throughout the ship, came the response. Most appeared to be in hibernation mode. Likely emergency survival protocols. And the human? The scanner operator checked his readings. Still registering in holding cell B7, as expected. Biosignature is strong. The specimen appears to be in excellent condition. Good. Vex signaled to his team. You 3, sweep the bridge and command deck. Kill any survivors. You 2, with me to secure the specimen. As the team split up, Vex led his men toward the holding cells. The corridors were eerily silent, lit only by the dim red glow of emergency lighting. The temperature was uncomfortably cold, their breath visible in frosty plumes. This is too easy, muttered one of his men. Something doesn't feel right. Silence, Vex hissed. These science vessels have minimal security. Their crew consists of academics and researchers, not warriors. They reached the holding cell area without incident. The control panel for Cell B7 glowed with backup power, indicating an active containment field. Scanner? Vex prompted. His subordinate checked the readings and nodded. Human life signs confirmed inside. Strong and stable. Perfect. Vex approached the control panel and began override procedures. As his technician worked on bypassing the security, Vex peered through the small observation window into the dimly lit cell. He could make out a humanoid figure sitting calmly on the bench inside. Almost through, Captain, the technician reported. Security is minimal. Of course it is, Vex said smugly. These researchers never expect anyone to. The door to Cell B7 suddenly slid open on its own, catching the Drakari completely by surprise. Inside was not a human, but what appeared to be a crude dummy made from bedding materials and spare clothing, with a small device attached to its chest. What was all Vex managed to say before the device emitted a high-pitched whine and exploded in a blinding flash of light and deafening sound. Stun grenades. Homemade, but effective. As the disoriented pirates staggered backward, clutching at their sensitive eyes and ears, the lights throughout the corridor suddenly blazed to full power. From hidden positions at both ends of the hallway, concentrated jets of flame erupted, created from repurposed cleaning chemicals and the ship's fire suppression systems. The Drakari screamed as they found themselves trapped in a corridor of fire, too disoriented to use their weapons effectively. And then, dropping from a maintenance shaft in the ceiling, came the human. Olivia landed between two of the stunned pirates, a length of metal pipe in one hand and what appeared to be a makeshift taser in the other. She moved with a speed and precision that seemed impossible for such an unassuming creature, striking vulnerable points with devastating accuracy. "Welcome aboard the Curious Disaster," she said pleasantly as she drove her improvised weapon into the first pirate's midsection. "I hope you enjoy your stay." On the bridge, the three Drakari hunters found themselves in a similar predicament. As they entered the seemingly abandoned command center, the doors had suddenly sealed behind them. Then the artificial gravity had reversed, sending them crashing into the ceiling before cutting out entirely, leaving them floating helplessly in 0G. And in floated Lieutenant Plex, wearing magnetic boots and carrying what appeared to be a modified fire extinguisher that sprayed a sticky, rapidly hardening foam. "This," she announced to the flailing pirates, "is for threatening my ship." "Captain, we have lost contact with both teams," the Drakari first officer reported nervously from the warship's bridge. No response to communications. The bridge crew exchanged uneasy glances. "Send the second boarding party," ordered the first officer. "Full combat protocol." "Sir." The tactical officer interrupted. "Sensors are detecting power surges throughout the research vessel. It appears their systems are coming back online." "That's impossible. Our weapons disabled their main power grid." "Nevertheless, sir," the tactical officer never finished his sentence as the ship rocked violently. "What was that?" the first officer demanded. "Unknown projectile impact on our hull." "It appears to be, sir. It appears to be their garbage disposal unit, fired at high velocity directly into our main propulsion system." Before anyone could respond, the communication system crackled to life. On the screen appeared a human female, smiling pleasantly despite the smudges of dirt and what might have been Drakari blood on her face. "Hello there," Dr. Olivia Reed said cheerfully. "I believe we have some of your crew. 6 of them, to be exact. Currently unconscious and restrained, but otherwise mostly intact." "Who are you?" the first officer demanded. "Where is Captain Vex?" "I'm the human you came to collect," Olivia replied. "And your captain is taking a little nap. He will have quite the headache when he wakes up, but that's what happens when you try to kidnap someone who's already been kidnapped. It's just rude, really." Behind her, the aliens of the research vessel watched with expressions ranging from awe to terror. "Now, Olivia continued, "here's what's going to happen. You are going to retreat to a safe distance and wait there while we repair our ship. If you make any aggressive moves, we will space your boarding party. Once we are ready to leave, we will return your people and be on our way. Everybody lives. Everybody wins. Any questions? The Drakari first officer stared in stunned silence. I will take that as agreement, Olivia said. Oh, and one more thing. Tell everyone you know that humans are not to be trifled with. It will save lives in the long run. Read out. The communication cut off, leaving the Drakari bridge crew in shocked silence. Sir? The tactical officer finally ventured. Orders? The first officer swallowed hard. Retreat to safe distance. And begin drafting my formal report explaining how we lost to a single human and a ship full of scientists. 3 days later, the fully repaired Curious Disaster prepared to make the jump back to Earth's solar system. The mood on the bridge was subdued as Captain Zorn officially logged their course. I still can't believe we survived, he murmured, watching as Dr. Reed made final adjustments to the navigation calculations. 1 human against 6 Drakari elite hunters. It defies all logic. Not really, Olivia replied without looking up from her work. Humans evolved on a predator-filled death world, remember. We have been improvising ways to survive against superior forces for our entire existence. The Galactic Science Council is going to be very disappointed that our research mission was cut short, Drawl said, though he didn't sound particularly upset. But the data we have collected on human combat capabilities more than makes up for it. Just promise me you will use that data to convince other species to leave humans alone, Olivia said, finally looking up. We really don't enjoy being kidnapped, studied, or sold to the highest bidder. Plex clicked her mandibles in what had become a familiar laugh. After what you did to the Drakari? I suspect your species will achieve near mythical status in pirate circles. Beware, the humans will become the new cautionary tale told to frightened hatchlings. Navigation course confirmed, announced the ship's AI. Earth coordinates locked. Captain Zorn turned to Olivia. Dr. Reed, on behalf of my crew and the Galactic Science Federation, I offer our sincere apologies for the inconvenience we have caused you. Inconvenience? Olivia raised an eyebrow. Is that what we are calling abduction and involuntary participation in an interstellar pirate battle now? Perhaps a regrettable series of events would be more accurate, Zorn suggested weakly. Olivia shook her head, but she was smiling. Just take me home, Captain, and maybe next time try asking for volunteers. You'd be surprised how many humans would jump at the chance to see the galaxy. A diplomatic first contact would certainly be preferable to our current approach, Drawl agreed enthusiastically. I will draft a proposal for the Council immediately. As the ship prepared for the jump to hyperspace, Olivia gazed at the starfield on the view screen. You know, despite everything, this has been quite educational for me too. I have seen technologies I have only dreamed about, met species I never imagined existed. Perhaps, Captain Zorn ventured cautiously, this incident might be the beginning of more formal relations between our civilizations. Maybe, Olivia conceded. But first I need to get home and water my plants. Then we can talk about interspecies diplomatic protocols and cultural exchange programs. And perhaps, Plex added, new security measures for research vessels, ones that might actually contain a human for more than 30 seconds. Good luck with that, Olivia laughed. If there's one thing you should have learned by now, it's that humans always find a way out. As the stars on the view screen blurred into streaks of light, Captain Zorn made a personal note in his log. Recommendation to the Galactic Science Council: never, under any circumstances, kidnap a human. The paperwork alone will kill you. And somewhere in the vast expanses of space, a Drakari warship limped home, its crew telling tales of the most terrifying creature they had ever encountered, a single human female with a mechanical engineering degree and a talent for improvisation. They would not be making that mistake again. The Curious Disaster dropped out of hyperspace with an alarming shudder that sent several crew members tumbling across the bridge. Status report. Captain Zorn barked, his four eyes blinking rapidly in sequence. Engine fluctuations detected, Captain, Chief Engineer Kraz reported, his copper scales now a dull brass color that indicated extreme stress. The temporal repositioning drive is showing unusual energy patterns. I believe our creative solution to the Drakari problem may have damaged some key components. Olivia looked up from the navigation console she'd been allowed to examine. By creative solution, I assume you mean when we fired your garbage disposal unit as a makeshift cannon. Yes, that, Kraz sighed. Apparently repurposing waste management systems as weapons isn't covered in the manufacturer warranty. Lieutenant Plex clicked her mandibles. How shocking. Who would have thought? Captain Zorn massaged his temples with two of his four hands. What does this mean for our return journey, engineer? Kraz tapped at his diagnostic pad. The good news is we can still reach Earth. The bad news is that our temporal repositioning capabilities are compromised. Translation? Olivia asked. We can get you home, Drahl explained, but not necessarily at the exact moment we took you. There might be a temporal discrepancy. Olivia's expression darkened. How much of a discrepancy are we talking about? The aliens exchanged nervous glances before Kraz finally admitted, approximately 3 months, Earth time. 3 months? Olivia exploded. I will have been missing for a quarter of a year. My apartment will be rented to someone else. My job will be gone. My cat will think I abandoned her. You have a domesticated predator? Drahl asked, immediately distracted. It's fascinating. Do you maintain it for protection or… Not the time, Drahl, Captain Zorn interrupted. Dr. Reed, we understand this is inconvenient. Again with inconvenient, Olivia muttered. Why don't we call it what it is? A complete disaster caused by your kidnapping spree and subsequent pirate encounter. To be fair, Plex pointed out, you are the one who suggested using the waste disposal system as a weapon to save all our lives. Olivia retorted. And it worked brilliantly. Drahl enthused. The application of basic physics principles to repurpose everyday objects as defensive weapons. Classic human ingenuity. Olivia took a deep breath, visibly trying to calm herself. Okay, 3 months. I can work with that. I will need to make some calls, come up with a plausible story for where I have been. About that, Captain Zorn said hesitantly. The Galactic Science Council has strict protocols regarding undocumented contact with pre-integration species. We can't exactly drop you off with full knowledge of galactic civilization. Olivia's eyes narrowed dangerously. What exactly are you suggesting? Memory modification is standard procedure, Drahl explained, then quickly backed away when he saw Olivia's expression. But obviously that's not an option here. Not with you. Definitely not with the human who defeated 6 Drakari hunters with improvised weapons. A smart decision, Olivia said flatly. Because if anyone tries to mess with my memories, they will find out exactly how creative humans can get with their limited technology. Captain Zorn slumped in his command chair. The Council will have my exoskeleton for this violation of protocol. Actually, Trill piped up from the communication station. I have been reviewing galactic law regarding first contact scenarios, and I think I found a loophole. All eyes turned to the small amphibious being. Paragraph 7 and subsection C of the Non-Integration Contact Protocols states that memory modification is required except in cases where the specimen has demonstrated exceptional abilities that may indicate species readiness for preliminary integration discussions, Trill explained. And defeating 6 armed pirates with improvised weapons certainly qualifies as exceptional abilities, Plex added, warming to the idea. Drahl was practically vibrating with excitement. This could be groundbreaking. Instead of erasing Dr. Reed's memories, we could establish her as an unofficial liaison between Earth and the Galactic Science Federation. Olivia crossed her arms. Hold on. Nobody said anything about me becoming an alien ambassador. Not an ambassador, Captain Zorn corrected quickly. More like a point of contact. Someone who could help prepare your species for eventual integration into galactic society. And what would that entail, exactly? Olivia asked suspiciously. Occasional meetings, information exchange, preparing your fellow humans for the concept of extraterrestrial life in subtle ways, Drawl explained. Nothing too dramatic or time-consuming. And in exchange? Olivia pressed. Advanced technological knowledge, as promised, Captain Zorn offered. Plus a substantial stipend from the Galactic Science Council's First Contact Fund. And Plex added with what passed for a smile among her species, a personal guarantee that no further our research expeditions will kidnap humans without permission. Olivia considered this for a long moment. Let me get this straight. Instead of erasing my memories, you want to hire me as Earth's first extraterrestrial consultant? Precisely. Drawl confirmed. And I'd get advanced technology, a salary, and the ability to prevent other humans from being abducted. Along with regular visits from our research team for check-ins, Zorn added hastily. Under carefully controlled circumstances, Olivia specified. No surprise abductions, no invasive testing, and meetings take place at locations of my choosing. Agreed, Captain Zorn said quickly, clearly relieved that the human wasn't demanding more. Then I think we have a deal, Olivia decided. But I still need a cover story for my 3-month disappearance. Drawl tapped at his datapad excitedly. We have studied human media extensively. Popular explanations for unexplained absences include spontaneous spiritual retreats, memory loss following traumatic experiences, secret government work, or being trapped in a remote location following an accident. I'm thinking memory loss might be easiest, Olivia mused. He found wandering with no identification, temporary amnesia that's now resolved. It's cliché enough that people might actually believe it. Excellent choice. Drawl approved. Human fiction often employs the amnesia trope. Very believable. As they approached Earth's solar system, final preparations were made for Olivia's return. The ship would use its cloaking technology to approach undetected, then deploy a small shuttle to deliver her to an isolated location where she could wander back into civilization, with her convenient case of amnesia. Just one more thing, Olivia said as they entered Earth orbit. I want a communication device, something I can use to contact you if needed. Captain Zorn looked uncertain. Providing advanced technology to a pre-integration species is strictly forbidden by. You kidnapped me, got me involved in a space pirate battle, and are returning me 3 months after you took me, Olivia interrupted flatly. I think we are well past worrying about protocol violations. She has a point, Captain Plex admitted. Fine. Zorn conceded. Chief Engineer Kraz, please provide Dr. Reed with a basic subspace communicator, something that won't attract attention from her fellow humans. Kraz nodded and disappeared into the engine room, returning moments later with what looked like an ordinary wristwatch. This contains a quantum-entangled particle pair linked to our ship's communication array. It will function anywhere on your planet, regardless of physical barriers or distance. And it tells time? Olivia asked, examining the device. Yes, though you will need to adjust it to your local time zone, Kraz explained. The small button on the side activates the communication function. Please try not to use it for trivial matters. Define trivial, Olivia replied with a mischievous smile that made the aliens collectively nervous. The shuttle descent was surprisingly smooth. Lieutenant Plex had been assigned to escort Olivia back to Earth, mainly because she was the only crew member who didn't immediately volunteer for the task. The rest were still slightly terrified of humans, despite Olivia's relatively peaceful behavior since the pirate incident. We are approaching the designated drop point, Plex announced, guiding the small craft through Earth's atmosphere. A remote hiking trail in what your species calls National Park land. Minimal surveillance, sparse population, but close enough to civilization that you can reach help within a few hours of walking. Thoughtful of you, Olivia remarked, looking out at the familiar landscape of her home planet. I have to admit, I never thought I'd be so happy to see trees and dirt again. Your planet is unusually varied, Plex observed. Most habitable worlds have more consistent ecosystems. Earth likes to keep things interesting, Olivia agreed, like its inhabitants. The shuttle touched down in a small clearing, its cloaking field still active to prevent detection by Earth's primitive satellites. This is where we part ways, Dr. Reed, Plex said, sounding almost regretful. It has been educational experience. That's one way to put it, Olivia laughed. Try not to kidnap any more humans, okay? The next one might not be as understanding as me. Understood. Though I must say, if all humans are like you, your species will do quite well in the galactic community, whenever you are ready to join it officially. Olivia gathered her few belongings, her jogging clothes, now cleaned and repaired, and the disguised communicator. Tell Captain Zorn I expect a proper research proposal next time, and remind Drawl that I expect copies of any scientific papers he publishes about human behavior. I will, Plex promised, her mandibles clicking in what Olivia had come to recognize as amusement. Good luck explaining your absence to your fellow humans. I will manage, Olivia said confidently. Humans are pretty adaptable, as you have noticed. As she stepped out of the shuttle onto Earth soil, Olivia turned back one last time. Oh, and Plex. Thanks for not spacing me when I threatened to mess with your gravity generators. Thanks for not actually doing it, Plex replied. Safe travels, Earth human. The shuttle door closed, and within moments the small craft had disappeared into the sky, leaving no trace of its presence except for slightly flattened grass. Olivia Reed took a deep breath of Earth air and began walking toward the nearest trail marker, already constructing her amnesia story in her mind. 3 months missing, mysterious circumstances, no memories of where she'd been. It would be a media sensation for a week or two, and then people would move on to the next mystery. Meanwhile, she had advanced alien technology, a direct line to an interstellar research vessel, and the beginning of what promised to be a very unusual consultant position. Not bad for a morning jog gone wrong, she murmured to herself as she hiked through the forest. 6 weeks later, Dr. Olivia Reed sat in her new apartment, sipping coffee and reviewing the scientific data Drawl had sent regarding potential compatibility issues between Earth technology and galactic standard systems. Her mysterious reappearance had indeed made headlines briefly, but public interest had faded once it became clear she genuinely, or so they thought, couldn't remember where she'd been. Her former employer had been surprisingly understanding, offering her position back with accommodations for her traumatic experience. Her cat, thankfully, had been cared for by a neighbor and, true to feline nature, acted as if Olivia had never left, apart from an extra helping of attitude for the first few days. The communicator on her wrist beeped softly. She tapped it once. Dr. Reed, Captain Zorn's voice came through with perfect clarity. I hope this isn't an inconvenient time. Just reviewing Drawl's latest data packet, she replied. What's up, Captain? The Galactic Science Council has reviewed our report on the incident and has made a rather unexpected decision. Let me guess, Olivia said dryly. They want to kidnap more humans to see if I'm a statistical anomaly? Quite the opposite, Zorn assured her hurriedly. They have designated Earth as a protected development zone and established a no-contact perimeter around your entire solar system. Olivia nearly spilled her coffee. They what? Apparently, the combination of your ingenuity during captivity, your defeat of the Drakari boarding party, and your subsequent negotiation skills has convinced the Council that humans might be, how did they phrase it? It's too volatile for standard integration protocols at their current developmental stage. They are afraid of us, Olivia realized, laughing. One human with a mechanical engineering degree scared an entire galactic government. Not afraid, Zorn corrected diplomatically. Cautious. They have approved our continued contact with you as an exception to the quarantine, but any large-scale interaction with humans has been postponed for at least 50 of your Earth years. So I successfully prevented alien abductions across the entire planet, Olivia mused. Not bad for a week's work. There's more, Zorn continued. The Drakari pirates have apparently been spreading stories about their encounter with you. The tales have grown somewhat, exaggerated in the telling. How exaggerated? According to the latest version reaching our intelligence services, a single human female defeated 20 elite Drakari hunters in hand-to-hand combat, but then reprogrammed their ship's AI to self-destruct if they ever approached Earth again. Olivia choked on her coffee. That's ridiculous. There were only 6 of them, and I mostly just surprised them with homemade stun grenades and improvised weapons. Nevertheless, the story has spread throughout the less reputable corners of the galaxy. Several notorious specimen collectors have actually cancelled planned expeditions to your solar system. It seems humans have acquired a rather fearsome reputation. All because you grabbed the wrong jogger, Olivia said, shaking her head in amazement. Perhaps it was the right jogger, from a certain perspective, Zorn suggested. The Council has approved funding for our unofficial liaison program with you. Rawl is ecstatic about continuing his research through a cooperative subject rather than a captive one. Tell him I expect more technological exchange and fewer questions about my fascinating stress responses, Olivia replied. And Captain, next time you visit, try landing and knocking on my door. It's considered more polite on Earth than tranquilizer darts and abduction. Noted, Dr. Reed, Zorn said, and she could hear the smile in his voice despite his alien physiology. Curious disaster out. As the communication ended, Olivia leaned back in her chair and gazed out her window at the night sky. Somewhere up there, an entire galactic civilization was now giving Earth a wide berth, all because one human had refused to be a passive research specimen. She raised her coffee mug in a toast to the stars. Here's to humanity's reputation, she said with a grin. May it always be slightly exaggerated. And on a research vessel many light years away, Captain Zorn made another entry in his personal log, recommendation to all future research expeditions. If you must interact with humans, bring gifts, ask politely, and for the love of all that's sacred in the galaxy, don't surprise them. They really don't like surprises,